Introduction to Web Services. This is Lecture 2 of Section 1. Let's begin. In this lecture, we will study about web services and how we use a web service architecture, what is XML, XML and web service communication, overview of WSDL, of SOAP protocol, followed by a quiz in the end. What are web services? A web service is a function that can be accessed by other programs over the web. In other words, web services are client and server applications that communicate over the World Wide Web's hypertext transfer protocol. Web services provide a standard means of interoperating between software applications running on a variety of platforms and frameworks. They can be combined in a loosely coupled way to achieve complex operations. Programs providing simple services can interact with each other to deliver sophisticated added value services. A web service basically is a collection of open protocols that is used to exchange data between applications. They are platform independent. Software that is written in different programming language and that run on different platforms can use web services to exchange data over computer networks such as the internet. A web service enables this communication by using a combination of open protocols and standards, mainly XML, SOAP, and WSDL. So basically, the use of open protocols enables web services to be platform independent. How do we use a web service? Web services application components, web application components, and a web application is simply an application that runs on the web. So, by using web services, your application can publish its function or message to the rest of the world. As shown in the diagram, web services use XML code to code and decode data, and SOAP to transfer it using open protocols. Web applications very often need reusable components, which are services which are used again and again. Some examples of such services are currency converter, weather reports, and language translators. Web services can offer these reusable application components. Once created, they can be reused and placed wherever required in the web application. Web services can help to solve the interoperability problem by giving different applications a way to link their data. With web services, you can exchange data between different applications and different platforms. Now let's come to the web service architecture. A web service architecture basically has two participants: a service provider, which is a provider, and a service consumer, which is the requester. The provider presents the interface and implementation of the service, and the requester uses the web service. In a service-oriented architecture, there is a registry that acts as a broker for web services. And there's a provider which can publish services to the registry. And then there's a consumer that can discover services in the registry. So basically, a service-oriented architecture is a more sophisticated system, because there's a registry that acts as a broker for the web services. What is XML? Let's move on to XML. What is XML? The entire web service concept is based on XML. XML stands for Extensible Markup Language. It is designed to describe data, not to display data, with focus on what data is. It is a software hardware independent tool for carrying information. XML is also used to organize your information in a more accurate and flexible way. And it is called extensible because it does not have a fixed format. This flexibility is exactly what web services use to make it more platform and implementation independent. XML is used in many aspects of web development, often to simplify data storage and sharing. In the real world, computer systems and databases contain data in incompatible formats, but XML data is stored in plain text format. So this makes it much easier to create data that can be shared by different applications across different platforms. XML separates data from HTML. With XML, data can be stored in separate XML files. This way you can concentrate on using HTML, CSS for display and layout, and be sure that changes in the underlying data will not require any changes to the HTML. XML simplifies data transport. Exchanging data as XML greatly reduces this complexity since the data can be read by different incompatible applications. XML simplifies platform changes. How is that possible? Because XML data is stored in text format as already stated. This makes it easy to expand or upgrade to new operating systems, new applications, or new browsers without losing the actual data. And XML makes your data more available. With XML, your data can be available to all kinds of reading machines, that is, handheld computers, voice machines, news feeds, etc., and make it more available for blind people or people with other disabilities. This is how it makes your data more available to people. This is an example of an XML file that contains certain data. The XML web services infrastructure is founded on the communication by means of XML-based messages that comply with the published service description. The service description is actually an XML document written in an XML grammar called WSDL that defines the format of messages the XML web service understands. The service description serves as an agreement that defines the behavior of an XML web service and instructs potential clients in how to interact with it. The behavior of an XML web service is determined by messaging patterns that the service defines and supports. So these patterns conceptually dictate what the service consumer can expect to happen when a properly formatted message is submitted to the XML web service. WSDL is an XML-based language for describing web services and how to access them. It stands for Web Services Description Language. XML-based protocol for information exchange in decentralized and distributed environments. WSDL is a standard format for describing a web service. WSDL is a language for describing how to interface with XML-based services. It is pronounced as WSDL and spelled out as WSDL. So in short, it describes how to access a web service and what operations the web service will perform. WSDL was developed jointly by Microsoft and IBM. Overview of the SOAP protocol. SOAP is an XML-based protocol for exchanging information between applications on two machines via the internet. It's a communication protocol, a format for sending messages. It's again platform independent, language independent also, is simple and extensible, and allows you to get around firewalls. SOAP will be developed as a W3C standard. Now it's time for your quiz. Question 1. Web services components are written in which markup language? A. HTML, B. HTML, C. XHTML, D. XML, or E. DTD. Question 2. What is WSDL? A. Web Services Development Language, B. Web Services Detail Language, C. Web Services Description Language, or D. Web Services Description Web System Description Language. Question 3. Select the communication channels not used in a web service. HTTP POST, MIME, SOAP, HTTP GET. Question 4. Web services are application components, application IDE, application designing tool, or none of these. Question 5. The basic web services platform is a combination of CSS and Java, XML and HTTP, XML and HTML, or CSS and HTTP. Question 6. Web services communicate using open-close protocols, closed protocols, open protocols, or none of these. Question 7. The basis for web services is A. CSS, B. CGI, C. PHP, or D. XML. Question 8. Define the following: SOAP, web services, XML. This is the end of lecture 2. Thank you.